begin.
Take it away, Beth.
Okay, okay. So what I wanted to start off with was what I just mentioned, is to go into, I'm going to go into Canvas and go into Canvas. And I finally went online with Audrey Blumenow yesterday and asked her about how to submit. John, I think you knew that too. How to submit your stuff to Canvas, because students were trying. I think Julie was trying and couldn't send it. And so I went into the special office hour that Audrey has and waited with all the other teachers. We were all lined up on the side of my screen waiting for Audrey to tell us what to do in Canvas and other things. But she basically told me I just needed to open the submission, click on the submission in for the project that you're doing, and that you can just submit them there. But for our projects and anything that has to do with any InDesign projects, you would need to package it so that I can have the IDNL. I think it's unpredictable about whether you have the latest version or not, but packaging it is a good idea, and then zipping it to compress it, and then submitting it. So that for the InDesign files, that's the process I'd like used, and I will try to remember to get any place that any of the projects you have opened up for submissions that way. Okay, so that's and I'm going to go into here and you guys can too if you want to go in and take a look at. I'm going to take a look at not into my main place here. Okay. And there. Pull it open enough. All right, so for this one, what I was doing is just going into, so Joel had done his write-up in Word.
Can't see your screen.
And then I'm going to do this. All right. And so this is the write-up he did, which is a very, and did a very good job of getting the information out there. Let's see, can I, is this a Command Plus going to do it? Yep, okay. So did a nice job of doing some contrast here and showing the headings and making this look like it looks like a conversation, like the question and answer, which is a nice way to set up something like this. But what I would want to do, and did, I'll go to the others, is to make your name more prominent than the title of the document. So that would be one thing, is to do that. And I'm going to get to these controls up here. So, oh, that's interesting. So I'm going to go to the next one here. And so this one, I decided to use the same color, and then I wanted to experiment. So I made Joel's name larger, and then I did a hanging indent with tab and paragraph spacing for each of these. So in the same way that InDesign does, you have that capability. I see a little thing that I wanted to make his answer, his information more prominent than the question that was being put out there that was a stock question. So this is the part I felt should be more prominent. And then, so this has that going on. Then I thought, well, what about using a gradient? So in Word, there is a place where you can use a gradient, and one side of the color can be the pink that is here, sort of a hot pink, and do that. So I'm going to go on to, I have to go back down here to this, to go on to this one. So this is all using contrast, alignment, proximity, repetition to create to follow through and make the name more prominent, make the alignment stronger here on the edges. I'm not sure why this little eye is doing that, but and to make the answers or the original writing more clear. So making that darker than the question or the yeah. So then I thought, well, maybe that so I used another gradient that is even stronger, and I put the DM8 on the other side, so it would be Joel's creative portfolios for DM8, looking at size, weight, of whether it's upper or lowercase, looking at all of those areas of potential contrast is what I was after, is to make that show up. So this is set up in the same way that you would in InDesign. So if you're stuck in some place and all you have is Word, you can still use styles to create those different design elements that are important to make your work stand out in different ways. So to make your types speak, and that's kind of a theme this week, is making your types speak. And you do it in advertising all the time, because the most important part is the most fancy, the largest, the boldest, the most outstanding. And the ingredients, I'm going to be talking about tea today. Annie and I were talking about tea. She's got a wonderful tea, but I'm served down here with my rooibos tea, which is really good, but not for an everyday thing. But I have a lot of tea packages, and I look at those tea packages and I think, okay, somebody is setting this type, and it is a real task to get things to stand out that you want to stand out and meet the guidelines, the laws of keeping in any kind of food or ingested commodity, any of the fine print can't be smaller than a certain size, even if you have a lot to get on there. So it's the main thing that has to, by law, be on the package. So I've done a lot of food boxes and packages and things like that. And they give you, by law, you have to abide by a certain size for the ingredients and any other thing like that that has to do with the content of the product. So anyway, so that was kind of the start of thinking about what if you only have Word and that kind of thing to do your typesetting. And so remember that Word is out there and it can be your friend if that's all you've got to work with. And it's not about the tool and uh, not about the tool, it's about the design. And it's about then knowing how to get that design without hitting a bunch of spacebar spaces or any of those other things or multiple tabs, how to set tabs and how to format um, type in whatever tools you have. Okay, so about the VITIA, this VITIA thing, I want everybody to make sure and do this today. If you've done it in another class, you don't need to do it in here. You only need to do it in one class, but we found out that at the end of this, there was a mistake that when you click to try to click on your class, a lot of the classes have, let's see if I have it up here. Oh yeah, here it is. So you get here, this is doctored up and made clear by Leslie Murray, who sent it to the VITIA folks. She said all of these of our courses, including DM8 is in CTE, it says Child Growth and Development, but press on the DM8 part. Click on DM8, and as I said before, if you're in other classes and you've done this already, like DM4 was fine. One of the DM1s was okay, or 3 of DM1s, but only 5 out of these 15 classes was correctly labeled. So you need to go and click on the actual place where it says DM8 and ignore that it says Child Growth and Development. And Leslie Murray and I are hoping that that will get the word to the people who write up whatever it is that affects our funding. So this is all about helping to fund our courses. And so it's something that, yeah, so if you do it during the break today, that would be really nice. And you get 3 points for it. Besides. Okay. All right. I think that that's probably it. Let's go in and see what people have submitted for. Now I think I only have 3. Well, Anne submitted a couple of things, but I just go alphabetically here. And so we talked a little bit about the 3 pieces. So this is 3 ways fitting on one page, and you can see the possibilities for the use of the logo. We saw this last week in the project 1. So here it is back being part of a threesome. And so the other 3 ways are, other 2 ways are this one right here. And let's just, everybody see this well enough? Like this, and do a, yeah. We'll just focus in on some of this. So these are how they would appear on a mini business card, and this is something that's been happening quite a bit lately, is that just mini cards have been, all different kinds of cards are going on, but I think the mini cards are really easy because they fit more easily in small spaces. So if somebody's got a limited amount of space or a crammed full wallet or something like that, the mini cards are coming to the rescue. So, and these are following, um, so Julie, let me know if I say anything that you want to add to it. So these are following the specs from Move. And
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and did you, you worked through Move already, or did you take the DM8 class?
Yeah, I did it in DM5. We did I did a square card. So like
Okay, well, I'm going to go through these in kind of the sequential order here. So this
I
is
do have
the traditional card. This is a standard one that you did in the DM5 class.
actually, well, I did all these the other day.
Oh, okay. So these are fresh,
Yeah, yeah.
brand new, fresh designs. Cool.
I have a question for John. When you like, because now you can get a website that's not just like julie.com or .net. You can do the .design and .artist. When people communicate that, do they still do www in front of it, or do people know that if they just type, like this insinuates, just type that, it'll go there?
Well, good question. That generally speaking, the answer is no. You almost never have to type the www, although it doesn't hurt to do so. Most web hosts are set up to accommodate with or without the www. There could be exceptions. It really depends on the configuration of the domain hosting service, and that would be whoever's hosting the website. But by and large, I would say that 95% of the time, it makes no difference whether or not you type the www. So most people just don't type that because it's just extra characters to type and say. There's an easy enough test when you have your website. Just type it without the www and see if it works. If it resolves to the page and works that way, then you can omit the www. And again, that's pretty much the standard these days. There could be very specific sites where it's needed, but that's rarer and rarer. So the first part of that question, I think, is don't worry about the www. And nowadays the web is so ubiquitous, everybody knows what the web is. You don't need to put the www for people to understand it's a website. Just like people know what an email address is when they see the @ sign, oh, it's an email address. When they see the .com or .net or .whatever, they go, oh, it's a website. So it doesn't hurt to put it on a business card or something, but it's just extra letters that you don't need.
I'm just
Does that answer your question?
yeah, because I wouldn't typically put it on there, but I'm just wondering, like, as a consumer, are you recognizing that .artist has replaced .com?
I don't think anything has replaced .com. .com is by far the standard.
Well, I mean, just like instead of getting a .com address to get one of these addresses, like do consumers realize that you're using the .design or the .artist in place of?
But it is a website.
Or do you have?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when you look at somebody's business card, if that's the URL, that's the URL. Now, a couple of things on that. One, the .com is still the standard. So if you can get a .com name that's not too long or with lots of hyphens or something, then that's still desirable because that's just the standard. However, that's not possible for many names now because it's the real estate's taken up. The other piece, though, is that some of these other registries charge a lot more per year than .com. Like a standard .com will cost you around the neighborhood of, let's say, $11 a year for the registration. And I'm not talking about hosting, just the registration to use the name. Now, on some of these newer domain names that are a little more boutique-y, or whatever the term would be, it could be significantly more than that per year. It could be 15 a year, it could be 20 a year, it could be more. So the other thing is you want to, when you're looking at what your top-level domain name should be, whether it's com, biz, org, there's a million of the top-level domain names now. Look at how much they cost to register, because those vary according to the company that has the contract with ICANN to register those names.
Okay.
Also, the a lot of times people will just go to the com by default almost, and without thinking they'll type it or not type it, and the browser will take them to the .com. So when you're looking at what kind of domain name to have, if you don't have a .com, make sure that if somebody types in that, and that they don't wind up accidentally at your competitor, because that can happen also, depending on what your name is and who has the .com and how close you are to that. So a couple factors to think of when you're getting a domain name. But if you can get a com, I would recommend it still, even if it makes the name a little bit longer. If it makes it a lot longer, then probably not, but that's up to you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right. So up here. So there's a little difference here, kind of taking apart the logo where the J descends from the E and putting it next to it. A variation that works well on a square card. This also works really well. So square cards are popular now because they're different, and there's something about a square that is more pleasant than a rectangle.
Yeah.
It's really odd for me because you have like a kind of a pleasurable feeling when it's a square. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just something I feel, and I feel that that's why people started doing square cards, is because they do have a sort of sense of presence and regularity. I don't know what it is that reminds people of, but it just has a real positive feeling that goes with it.
Regularity is important.
Well, yes, pretty darn important.
Yeah, because you're not regular. You gotta fix that. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to live a rectangular existence.
Regularity is an interesting word. It has a few meanings.
Yeah, it's just for every place.
Not as many if you're younger than 20.
Yeah. So then, exploring the favicon, it was one of the suggestions I had last week, and of course now that I've mentioned it, I notice them all the more as I'm going online. I can see how people may have been challenged to make something that stands out at that size. So it really helps to do this. So what pops out, this is obviously the winner in this one. And it's, and I'm not sure about the registration of these. John, do you know about the registration of the favicons? Because it seems like it's an image. So it's an image, it's a logo. These days it seems like something you could imitate, not imitate, but accidentally create the same one somebody, if it's just a single dot, for instance, of a certain color, black dot designs, and you have a black dot there.
I think that because they're lower resolution than a standard logo or image, I mean, there's only so much you can do with it. The resolution has the possible resolution of them has gone up. In the old days, they were really, really only a small set of dots. And now the browsers are capable of having a higher resolution for a favicon. But still, they're not a substitute for a logo, and they're not. They're more of a branding part of the whole thing, that when your web browser is open, you see that, and if you drag that URL to your desktop to save that as a file, it might have that icon.
It's part of your identity. It's part of your brand. And it just seems to me that some people could have a very simple identity or brand, and it might be like a red square, or a yellow circle or something like that, and would be,
Yeah, I mean, if your organization has a very complex logo, it will not look good. That's all.
well,
I
yeah,
mean, so generally speaking, you have to simplify it or use something different. And again, that goes back to logo design. Simpler is always better in terms of online presence. But you can only do so much with those pixels. So.
yeah. Well, is there a directory that shows favicons in quantity by
That's a
some
good
sort of,
question. I don't know of one.
yeah, it just seems like you'd want to know what's out there. And as for designing favicons, I remember that there are templates. There are templates online with the
Yes,
number of
there are,
pixels.
and some graphics programs will have that as a setting to save it and as a favicon. But I don't know if Photoshop has that. I don't believe it does, but I haven't poked around. Some graphics programs do. My favorite favicon is Craigslist, which is just a simple peace sign. I just really like theirs. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know why Craigslist chose that as their brand, but I like it.
Yeah.
Doesn't really go.
Yeah, what I was thinking of is online, a not a tutorial, but guidelines for favicons with the tools and
Simple.
templates. Yeah, but no, there is a place online where you can go and get specific directions about the number of pixels it is, and examples and templates and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I did a quick Google search and it looked like it was like 19 pixels by 19 pixels, which seemed really tiny.
Yeah, that's tricky. Yeah. Okay. So I think that,
And also it should be said that if you have a website and you don't designate a favicon, which is quite simple to do, you put it in your public HTML directory and you name it favicon. But if you don't have one, the icon that will show up is probably of your hosting company. So in a sense, you're promoting the branding of your, Host Monster or GoDaddy or whoever and so you might as well throw one in there. That's all.
yeah, might as well have all the identification possible, I would say. Okay. So let's just take a look at that whole page. And this is really nice. What's this font up here?
I want to say it's the Gothic font.
Yeah, I like the R, W. Really nice. And so I'm going to go into my, so I'm going to do an ABC here for you, Anne. And if anybody else, this is actually the second one. This one came in just yesterday. I'll take a look at the so this is
I have some that have
nice
the
variation.
text in them.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can get these up here so we can look at them together. Want people to vote on them? That'll be good. Nice to see them together like this. Mm. I've got my favorite. Anybody else have their favorite?
I like the orange one on the right, the third one there, or C.
One right here.
Yeah.
That's my favorite too. I do like the strength of this one here. This one's interesting.
I kind of like how that one looks, actually.
Yeah, it's very intriguing. It has a certain, like a personality to it.
Yeah, I like that one too. I like how the orange one had, how you chose to do the N and
Yeah,
the negative in the I. It's just an interesting,
yeah.
something different that you don't see a lot of.
Well, I like just the tittle for the design, or I in design. And since these are, even though these are all uppercase, you still know that's an I just by the dot, even though it's intended to be, it looks like it would follow that it would be uppercase. So there's a lot of playfulness, and yeah, I like the quality of it, because it's just a split second when somebody would say, well, what is that? And then it reads, and then the viewer feels like they solved the problem. they solved the puzzle, and then they feel real proud of themselves. And then they notice who it is, and who it is who's made them feel that way. So yeah, it's clever, and it's a couple of layers of meaning too, because this would only be on the lowercase, and it's clearly uppercase, and yet you can kind of have an almost instantaneous realization through different layers of levels of whatever it would be, convention, typographic convention. So which one do you like best, Anne?
The one that on the right.
The one that's on the right, yeah.
Yeah, I worked really hard on that. I think I'm trying to remember. I think I added, I think that's a C that I made into a G.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And this is also a relationship here.
Well, the N is actually cut out, so it's not like white on top of it. It's actually cut out of the shape and then punched it.
Oh, it looks really good.
Yeah, there would be a lot of opportunities there for gloss on, or emboss, or that thing, like the N could be the only thing that's embossed.
But I also really like the one with the person hugging. It's supposed to be a person hugging, like it's
Oh, like wrapping its arms, wrapping around. I see that.
Yes, yeah.
Big.
Kind of circling. Those are really nice. And so those would be what we see them on the card here, and they would be also on letterhead and letterhead. I think that's the only other thing we're kind of, and that would be the resume. So Joel has these three logo concepts. I think they're very nice.
Like
And
colors. The color gradient's really cool.
Yeah, I really like this.
it's very interesting. So the gradient, when I didn't see these, but I wanted to do something with the gradient for his name for the first project, and so if this became part of the logo from the kind of dark turquoise to the violet, purpley violet, that would be something that you could put in the letters that I like, the ones I did. And so is that a color?
That's cool.
Wow. So this
Like
is
how clean it is.
Yeah, I like that really simple front. That's really nice.
really nice presentation. Yeah. I like the black one.
Yeah, I like the shades of.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of a chevron. Very nice presentation too. So, has anyone turned anything else in for project 2 that I?
Yeah.
Beth, can you go back to that what you just had up, the business card? Yeah, could you scroll now a little? Scroll down a little.
That's what you want to.
Yeah, no, yeah. Go back up the second screen. Keep going up a little more. Yeah, stop right. Yeah, stop there for a second, or scroll down just a hair. Okay, stop there. It looks like it's something that just to be aware of when you're dealing, especially with converting file formats, and especially if you're dealing with JPEGs. Gradients are one thing you have to watch out for graphically, because if there's too much image compression, the gradient will get some slight banding. And I'm seeing on the top level there, I don't see banding, but on the bottom level where it says logo colors, my eye is just seeing the beginnings of some banding.
Oh, right. And the second
And especially when you look at that middle image on the bottom. So it's just something to be aware of. I mean, you know, it's the kind of thing that's specific to gradients. And so whenever you're doing conversions from one image format to another with gradients, you want to pay particular attention to not having banding occur. So I just wanted to mention that because I see the beginnings of it right there. And it's one of those things that if you're working in a hurry, you can forget that and miss it. And then later on, something's printed or online and it like, oh, and you see the bands. So you just want to be aware of that. Okay, I'll shut up now. Thanks, Beth.
No, it's a good, important thing to remember. It's kind of a jolt if you see it online and it's been reduced and JPEGs lose their resolution each time you go in and come out. Unless you deliberately maintain resolution on a JPEG, it just loses resolution. I don't know about a ping. I don't think a ping does the same thing, but that wouldn't be.
Well, yeah, you can get that kind of banding if you have gradients, whether it's JPEG, PNG, or GIF. In fact, gradients are generally much better as a JPEG to avoid banding. If you save a gradient
Yeah.
in a ping
Things
or,
are
sorry, in a
harder.
ping or a GIF, you generally will have more chance of getting banding unless you up the file size, in which case you're defeating the purpose of saving
Yeah,
in that format, so you might as well make it a JPEG. Because
defeating the purpose,
JPEGs,
yeah.
the compression algorithm of the JPEG format was designed for optimizing gradients, photorealistic
Right.
color ranges, rainbows, that kind of thing, grayscales. So it's generally something that you deal with in JPEG land. Okay, I'll shut up again.
No, that's really important to remember. It's, okay. So, Bridget, were we going to look at, did you turn something in that,
Yeah, I submitted a folder last night to Canvas.
okay,
I submitted mine just before class, so.
I submitted mine last night.
okay. And this is still my first time getting things out of, it's one of these, it's right here, right? The inbox. All right,
Oh, they're there.
there they are. And so, let's see. It doesn't look like I'm seeing everything. Um,
I didn't email mine. I submitted it to the actual project.
okay.
Yeah, I did
Okay,
too.
I'll go and look at
Mhm.
that. So this is this one is one we just looked at, and so going to go back to the close that. Go in here and go to our. I didn't ask Audrey about this part. John, you're supposed to know about these things too, aren't you? You know about these things about turning in files and
I think you know as much as I do at this point. I couldn't find, I'm not sure I have the same permissions you have, because I didn't see, like, for example, the buttons to turn them in for students in the assignment page that you guys were seeing.
well, I have to.
So I was a little
We're
confused.
in charge of creating a submission, and then they can't turn it in unless we designate in the description that it's submitted. And so I'm not sure what to click to get the submissions out of here. Is there a, I learned how to set it up, and but I don't know how to get them. Has anybody watched another teacher in another class pull them out of wherever they are when they get submitted? It's just one click, I'm sure, for the, no, I don't think that's it. Yes, what I was getting when I went into, oh, maybe it's up here. There's one place that I can go to and click and then see them there. And I thought it was in the inbox that it tells me that, but no, that's not it. Um, maybe it's down here. Just a second. Files. No, that's files that are part of the, maybe it's in settings. No. Would it be possible for you guys to send them as an attachment email. I thought I actually had, maybe I don't have the project 2 set up properly. It didn't say you couldn't submit them. That was one student said that there was, Sophia, was it you? Did you try to submit something and then I said that I'd opened it up?
I
Bridget?
don't think so. I can email you mine though.
So, Bridget, did you send it by submitting it?
Yeah, I did. I submitted it on Canvas. Do you want me to email it to you?
That would be great because I thought it was set up so that you could submit it, right? That was the part that I did do, but now I don't know where to pick them up.
Okay.
I usually there's one little place where you get a notice that you've received something, and I thought it was up here, and I'm not seeing that. I'm sure I have to do some sort of faculty thing to click something to see that, but I'm not able to. I have to go back and talk to Audrey again to see what the next step is. John, maybe you could look that up. And I know that it's in, I found out about submissions by going to Canvas and looking up how do you open up submissions for students? It probably says, where do you pick up submissions from students? If you can go into there and see if it tells you where I picked these up, that would be great. In the meantime, we already looked at logo resources. We are going to be going on and looking at project 3 and some type things. But yeah, I thought it was in the inbox, it was part of the inbox that I would get the submissions in here, but that's not it. Okay. And we've got, okay. So I will just wait till you send them to, let me know if you've sent it to the regular email. So that would be to John and me both. So if anything you send it to the 2 of us. And I think when you submit it to the class folder, that are that goes both of us automatically as well. So John, are you seeing anything in there? And
I just emailed mine.
Did you? I didn't hear your full question, Beth. Were you asking me a question?
yes, did you see anything in there about how students submit or how we receive our submissions from students to Canvas?
You know, it's not. I'm not. Yeah, I don't. I guess I would also have to get some more information from Audrey that you might have or not have, but I don't really know. Research project. Oh, email.
Well, this is what we were telling people to do, but I found out yesterday
That they
and
can
the
do
day
it in
before
Canvas.
that people had been sitting in yeah, so that Okay. Are any others coming in through email here?
Okay, I just submitted, or I just emailed mine to you on Canvas.
Okay. Okay. Oh, emailed on Canvas. Okay. Oh. All right. Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to start with this. And
Okay. I messaged mine in too, so.
hmm.
Beth?
Yes.
Looks just I don't know if you're seeing the chat, but Ye and McKenna sent you stuff. McKenna sent it via Canvas. She said her mic isn't working.
Oh, okay.
And Ye said she sent it on Canvas Mail, and her mic isn't working either. I have not muted people, so if your mic's not working, try to unmute yourself because we're not stopping you from talking. It's not us.
Yeah, mine it says this has the option to mute, so there's nothing.
Okay, because I did the all participants are unmuted. So that means you can unmute yourself. So if the problem was just that you couldn't unmute yourself, try it now.
It could just be their individual devices don't work really well.
Yeah, and if that's the case, not much I can do about it. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Wonderful. And I'm going to start with,
I heard somebody.
this is amazing. Okay, so let's start right here.
I had a little fun.
Oh, and by the way,
The third-
Beth, it's almost 3:30, so anytime a logical break would occur would be soon.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it would be good now because we do want to spend some time on this. We don't want to rush it. So,
Okay, then why don't we take a 10-minute break? I'll set a 10-minute timer and we'll come back in 10 minutes. How's that sound?
okay, great.
Okie dokie.